They want to talk to her about whatever it might be. Has had to miss those things as a mom, and it weighs on both the kids and the mother.
Welcome to More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend. I'm your host, Jay, and we are continuing the conversation today regarding Erik and his loved one. So for those of you that didn't listen to last week's episode where we spoke with Erik about his horrific experiences in jail, being beaten for no reason or to this day an unknown reason, and how one of the officers was actually charged for that, so was held responsible for it. This week we get to talk about his love, his wife, who's in a Kentucky women's prison, who's incredibly over-sentenced compared to other similar crimes that other people have committed. And he is sharing their story, but also speaking from a husband's perspective of dealing with the women's incarceration system and the impacts. Because when you think about it, we talk about the mothers that are incarcerated, the access to their children, what are we doing about it, and the fact that it's so much smaller of a population compared to men's prisons that it's often overlooked. So I found this really, really interesting, and I love the way Erik was able to share his story first and now share hers from his view and her experiences and what he's noticed over time, because he is very well educated. He's now a paralegal and he's working hard trying to get her sentence reduced in whatever way he can. So have a seat, grab a coffee, and listen to the next episode of More Than Inmate's Girlfriend. Before we go, if you're interested in a gift catalog for your loved one to order gifts for you, you can get it at morethaninmatesgirlfriend.com. Usually people pay via check if they have time, but this week has been a little bit of a rush because of Mother's Day. So I'm getting a lot of calls for other payment methods and orders. So that's been fun and just really fulfilling being able to purchase these gifts for them and knowing that some mothers are going to be getting gifts for the first time because their loved one is able to order these gifts for them and has handpicked them himself. So he didn't just ask someone else to do it, but he looked through and decided what he wanted. So it's really cute. And it's cute to see the trends of what people order. So that's fun too. And yeah, if you aren't following us on social media and you are enjoying the show, please follow us on social media at More Than an Inmate's GF on TikTok, or you can go on our Instagram. It is at podcast_prisongf. Please share with your friends and family if you are enjoying the show. And of course, I would love it if you hit that plus button and followed the show so that you get notified for more episodes. We are winding down the season, so as it is, we finish usually around the end of June, and then we'll start back up in September. So we take the summer off, but also an opportunity to catch up on the episodes that you haven't listened to. We're going on 60-something episodes, so quite a few episodes, a lot of conversations, a lot of good topics, and it'll be a good opportunity for you guys to catch up. So with that, here's the second part of Erik's episode, and next week, I believe we will take it back to lighthearted zone and interview Anna and her experience loving someone incarcerated, but also social media. We handle that topic of the impact of social media on our relationships, especially when it comes to like people who have influence and are popular in the community. So yeah, that should be next week. And then the following week, we're going back into a heavier topic that we will talk about next week. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy the second part. Take care. Bye.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to message her. And I didn't message her with any intention of a relationship.
Yeah. It's what we all say.
Exactly.
But it's the truth.
Right. And I can find that message here. I still have it. I've never deleted any of my messages.
Oh.
Yeah, November 22
Okay.
was when I first reached out. And we started talking, and it was just basic conversation through e-messaging at first.
Yeah. Okay.
And we talked for a couple months, and then while I was still cleaning my messes up, we kind of lost touch for, I don't know, maybe 6 months or something.
Okay.
I had gone back to Indiana one time to clean up another case. That was the last case in Indiana I had to do. And I was going through my emails looking for something, and I tripped over her name again. I'm like, oh my God, we were talking and I forgot to message her back. And this is like
Oh
6 months
no.
later. Yeah.
Fail,
So
Eric.
I
Fail.
had fail. Very bad.
Oh no.
And yeah, so I end up sending her a message telling her, hey, you probably don't want to talk to me at this point, but I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not that kind of person that does that, you know, right?
Just forget about it.
Right. And I put my phone number in there, and I'm like, if you want to call me, I'll put money on the phone. And when she messaged me back and was like, yeah, sure. And I put a little bit of money on there.
Yeah.
And my wife called me like 5 minutes later, and we ended up talking all night long. So I started out by reaching out to my wife, and then my advocacy has grown big time since I have met Taira.
Yeah. And when you met her, what was your first impression?
My first impression of Taira was that she was as real as they come. She wasn't hiding anything. I had already looked into her case a little bit, and one of the reasons that I reached out to her was because I actually saw a video of her in court, and at the time she still had a co-defendant that was with her when her case happened, when the charge happened.
Okay.
And in court she said he had no part of this, he wanted nothing to do with this, this was me.
Oh, wow.
And being a woman where you probably could have placed blame on a man, but he was making me do it, you know.
Yeah.
He didn't do that at all. And I was like, man, even if she's in trouble, you can tell she still has some integrity.
I love that.
Yeah, that was how I knew she was real, and it really stood out to me. And on those first couple phone calls, she was hilarious, and I loved it.
I'm curious, now that you know her and you know the situation, was it really that she was owning up to her own part in everything, or was she like trying to protect him, or was she coerced or anything?
She was owning up to it for sure.
Good for her.
Yeah, she was owning up to it. The guy just happened to be with her. Like when you're out running the streets, you usually don't like to do it by yourself.
Right.
And they weren't even dating. He just happened to be the guy at the time.
And at what point did you realize that it was maybe more than just a pen pal or friendship?
Pretty quickly, to be honest. Maybe a month, 3 weeks to a month. She pretty much told me, because she had other people that had reached out to her, obviously. And at that time, she was like, hey, I want to cut all these other people off. I don't want to talk to anybody else. What do you think? And I was like, yeah. I'm definitely good with that. I love talking to you. It's the best part of my day.
That's so sweet. And I don't know if this makes sense, but when you started talking to her, did your past experiences change the way that you were loving her or being with her while she was incarcerated versus someone in the free world?
I think they probably did, to a degree. I didn't look at her any different. I think the beauty of it was that I didn't look at her any different. Because I had been down a pretty bumpy road myself, I had no reason to judge her. And she made me feel just as warm and fuzzy as any other woman ever had, you know, and more, honestly. I wouldn't be here with her today if not. But I think my experiences definitely made it to where I had no judgment of her and her past, and we were able to openly talk about both of our problems.
Yeah, so you actually felt comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely felt it, because with addiction, shame is one of the hardest parts of it.
Okay. Do you think that she brought back the humanity that you thought you lost from your experiences?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because she showed me that people still had emotion, and that they could still, even after a mistake, that they could not only admit that mistake, but try to move forward. And then also she showed me that my mistakes were okay.
Yeah.
And I was still a lovable person.
Yeah.
And it did restore some of my faith in humanity.
I love it. And tell us a little bit more. You talked a little bit about Taira in your eyes, but tell us a little bit more about who she is, what kind of person she is.
One, she is incredibly strong-willed. If she wants to get something done, she's going to. Mm-hmm. And if she wants me to get something done, I'm going to. And she's also hilarious. She can find humor in a lot of situations. And I think some of it is a coping mechanism, mm-hmm. but in that, it's also made her able to make fun of herself. Yeah. Some people are so serious all the time.
Exactly.
She's also bipolar, so she can be a handful sometimes. It's gotten better and better the longer we've been together. So I think I restored some of her faith in humanity too.
Yeah.
That she was lovable. And she's very loving as well, though. She's always telling me about people that don't have anything inside, and how she loves to cook. So she's in the honors dorm, and
nice.
They have stove and an air fryer, and
what?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. My husband's going to be so jealous. Yeah. Nick would lose his mind. He's such a cook. He cannot wait. He doesn't know what an air fryer is because he's never seen one. He's trying to convince the unit that an air fryer is safer than a microwave, and that they should just get an air fryer so he could try it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, they've got all of that, and she loves to cook, and she will invite people that are just sitting by themselves. Maybe they don't have any other food besides what the prison has.
Yeah.
She'll always invite extra people, and I can see the love inside of her just to want to help other people.
And for people who don't know about her and her case, can you tell us how long she's been incarcerated and what situation led to her incarceration?
Sure. So she has already been in like 9 years, I believe. And the situation that led to her incarceration was more or less, she was at a gas station, and her and the gentleman that was with her, they were moving from one place to another, and they had a bunch of stuff in her car. Anyway, she was outside the car. An officer pulled up, ran her info, and I think they found out she had a warrant or something. And they put her keys on the roof of her car, and she had got back inside the car to get maybe her info or something, and they walked away, and she reached up and grabbed her keys and put her in the ignition and went to take off. Yeah, and when she went to take off, one of the officers tried to grab the keys, and long and short of it was like he kind of fell, and they considered that assault, and she ended up getting 40 years for that.
40 years. 40.
Yep, 40. 40.
And what percent does she have to serve?
50%.
Wow. Just for that.
Yep.
And do you want to talk a little bit about her state of mind at that time, or do you know from what
Sure. So, for one, she's an addict as well.
Okay.
And that started at a young age for her. Her state of mind at the time, I know that she had been using. Her and my use are totally different. She used uppers, I used downers. Well, actually, I used about anything, but
I use about anything.
Yeah.
Funny.
but she was like strictly uppers.
Okay.
And the biggest part of it, though, was her trauma from when she was younger.
Yeah.
She grew up in a very tumultuous home. It caused her to go into fight or flight a lot of times when an officer was around because of some things that happened when she was younger.
Yeah.
And they were being like officers, I don't want to call them liars, but they can be misleading.
Yeah.
And that caused her right there to jump into that fight or flight thing. Her previous trauma caused her to leave like that. She didn't think, she wasn't like, I'm going to hurt this person. I'm going to get out of this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. She just needed to get out. It was a fight or flight.
Exactly.
She was flying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And from your perspective, and I don't know how much you can talk about it, but I know that you mentioned that a lot of similar cases of hers are very different from her charges. So how do you think the system failed her?
Oh, man. The system's failed her in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The system failed her from the time she was a kid by letting her stay with her mom when they shouldn't have. It also failed her in previous arrests where they were always drug-induced arrests, and she never got any kind of treatment or anything like that to help her. She'd always get out and go right back in the same scenario, right back to that chaotic family situation, back out into a street situation where had they addressed her problems, not only when she was a child, but early on in her adult life when she first got arrested, then I don't think that it would have ever got to this point.
Yeah. So when you were offered rehab and stuff, she was never offered that type of support?
No, she did not get that. So after her first charge, they offered her shock probation. Are you familiar with what shock probation is?
No.
Okay, so shock probation is like basically we'll clear the slate for you. We'll give you probation. We're not going to send you to prison on this violation. But if you violate again, then you're going to have to do all the old backup time and the time for this new charge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she was in no position to do that. But you tell somebody in her position that, well, you can go to prison or we can let you out. What do you think she's going to do?
Yeah, she's an addict.
Right. She's an addict.
Yeah.
So they let her out, but they did not actually have her in classes and doing things that actually showed her that she was an addict and that she needed a change. Yeah.
That is so sad.
It really is. And one of the reason I think she had the trauma with police and authorities and things like that was when she was a kid, there were times where she would be physically abused by her mother and or one of her siblings would be, and they would call the police.
Yeah.
And police would come out, and instead of have to place 5 children in foster care and take her mom, they would take her mom would say, no, it's that one. She's crazy. She's crazy. And like they took her to a mental hospital multiple times as a child.
Oh, shoot. She's got some really big traumas and trust issues with authority.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
That makes so much sense. I figured as much without you even having to say it, just the idea of her needing to run away from the police. I'm like, oh, she's asked for help before and didn't get it. But that would be deeply ingrained as a young child. You're taught that they're supposed to help you, and then when you call for help, they don't help you. So imagine what kind of trust you have in anybody.
Yeah, it's gone. And with anybody, but she still to this day is getting over some of those trust issues.
Oh, sure.
Obviously, it takes a while, but the authorities at the time, she had no trust.
Oh, that's so sad. And how has her prison sentence gone? How has she taken accountability for what happened? And it's hard. I find for people who are over sentenced like that, it's really hard because you want to take accountability for the actions that you took and understand them better so you can rehabilitate, and you want to take ownership. But then you're like, how do I take ownership of what I did when I was sentenced to 40 years? How do you wrap your brain around it? How has she wrapped her brain around it?
Yeah. So she has always felt that I upended this person's life. It is still traumatic to have a car come that close to you.
Yeah.
And so she knew that. She knew she deserved to be punished for it. And she admits that, and she couldn't reach out to him. But she has faith as well, and she's asked God for forgiveness for it.
Yeah.
And she has also tried to realize what got her to that point in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to be honest about some of those things in your past when just talking about them. But yeah, as far as taking accountability, I know that she even still today says, I feel bad for him even having to think about this. I feel bad for my children having to be without me for any amount of time. I feel bad that he ended up not finishing his career in law enforcement, whether it be mental, physical, whatever. She definitely knows that she did not have intent to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And whether it was a minor injury or a major injury, she definitely feels remorse for that.
Okay. And how has she changed while she's been in there?
Her entire time she's been inside, she has been in that honors dorm. It takes 6 months of no write-ups to get there in the first place.
Okay.
So the first 6 months, obviously, she wasn't in honors because she couldn't be.
Yeah.
But after 6 months, she went to honors. And then when you're first there, you're in a 2-man cell. And then eventually you get your own room.
Okay.
And so she has had her own room for probably 5 or 6 years now.
Wow.
And she's been in that honors dorm the entire time. Not only has she changed by not reacting with emotion as much and trying to think decisions out versus the whole fight or flight thing.
Yeah.
Try and slow the situation down and talk about it instead of just reacting. And I think when she was a little younger and even before she went in, I don't think she even realized how much that trauma played into her own life.
Yeah.
And she now is open about that trauma. And because of that, she's able to live a much healthier life as far as mentally.
Yeah. And in terms of her development, how did she get there? Did they offer her courses finally?
So there are courses she's taken for sure. Here's a big problem, though. Because of her time, her parole date, they will not allow her to be in a lot of cases or courses.
Yeah.
She's taken as many as she can. She's also gotten into mental health there and gotten on medicine regularly.
Oh, good.
Yeah, for the bipolar. And she's also went to some of the ladies that have been there a little longer and have a little more maturity and have come to terms with their background and things like that and talked to them and got these feelings out. And now, actually, Taira is one of those people that girls come to her. And that's a big deal.
That's cool because she gets to help people. I love that. And I'm curious, when did she get sober?
She told me about the last time she did some, and it was while she was in jail.
Okay.
And she was like, I don't ever want to feel like this again.
Yeah. This is not fun. Yeah.
Right. This is not fun at all.
This is the reason I'm there, partially.
Yeah. So. Right. Exactly. It had definitely played a role.
Since I've never really interviewed someone in depth about the prison conditions, I'm really glad that you're here today to discuss them for women, because there's less women that are incarcerated. But has she shared with you what her daily life looks like?
It's very limited. Their facility is incredibly old. It's like 100 years old.
Okay.
And a lot of basic resources are lacking. She said that they see mold growing everywhere. Their ceiling is just open. There are no recreation opportunities, like as far as like teams or things like that. They don't have any of that. Their workout equipment is one working treadmill for like 700 women.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And they had kind of like a track, I guess, outside.
Oh, cool.
And she used to walk it until their kitchen had a sewage pipe running through the middle of it. And finally, they closed the kitchen down to renovate it.
Okay, that's
and
good.
not have a sewage pipe running through the middle of it.
Gee.
Yeah, which is disgusting.
Disgusting. That's a total health code violation.
Absolutely, but somehow their audits are perfect every year. So they close the kitchen down and they put trailers, and they don't let them walk on the track anymore because they put those trailers on the one area where they had to do that. Yeah, so it took that away too. Yeah, so it's very limited. What Taira does to get exercise is they have one of those old school TVs on carts, and they have a tape that she'll like work out to. It's like a aerobic tape or something like that.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and she'll do that, and it's so old, but she's got to do something, so she does that.
Better than nothing. Knowing a lot more about men's prisons, what would you say the biggest differences are between the men's and women's prisons in your and her experience?
The biggest things that I have seen, for one, is opportunity and support. There was more support for me as far as services, like mental health services.
Yeah.
And one of my really good friends went and did 12 years in a max facility.
Oh, wow.
And he told me a lot about it. And they seemed to have the same as I was used to, as far as having more mental health services, more programs, as far as like the opportunities to do like vocational type programs.
Yes.
Things that would help you with jobs and stuff when you get out. Most of the women's stuff is all geared towards home ec stuff.
Yeah, so like dated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very outdated. Another thing that I definitely have noticed, and it's not got to do with the facility, but it's got to do with their canteen. The women have to wear the men's clothes. Clothes are geared towards the men. Their shoes, the men have like 30 different types of shoes, where the women have like 5.
Right.
I can't ever find one in her size. And got some support, exactly. To find a comfortable shoes is a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's a big thing. In Kentucky, as far as I know, that all of the men's prisons have eye care, but the women's doesn't.
Oh, really?
Are you familiar with eye care? Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Why don't they?
I do not know.
Wow.
I've been trying to figure that out for a couple of years now.
That is so odd. And how are they treated? Are they treated decent at least?
As far as I can tell, they're treated okay. I know that there are things that go on with some of the women as far as like relationships that I don't think get reported as much.
Okay.
The biggest thing that I notice is problems with mental health stuff, because a lot of these women are battered women, or they had problems in their childhood or things like this. And they were also mothers, like 70% or something are mothers.
Right.
So having more services like that for family would be great.
Yeah.
But overall, I think most of the guards aren't that bad to them.
Okay.
But you can definitely find where they don't beat them up per se, but it's like, we're going to ignore you. We're going to ignore things that you need.
Okay. And how has being a mom, because she is, affected her all these years? She's been so separated from her kids.
It definitely weighs heavy on her. She definitely misses the time that she has missed with them, and she carries a lot of guilt over it.
Yeah.
But to be honest, where she's at, she has done a very good job as far as trying to make sure that she calls them as much as she can. She gets them to set up visits or come in person, or make sure that they have a birthday present or a Christmas present or things like that. Things that whenever she was on the outside, when she was using, might not have been as big of a priority.
Right. You're right.
So obviously she has that guilt, and that really, really hurts. But she has used that to build at being a better mother.
That's awesome, because as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what a vicious cycle. Because you're incarcerated, so you're there less for your children, and then there's not enough resources, and they're not taking that into consideration despite the high volume of mothers that are incarcerated. And these kids are getting affected, and then you have these guilt that would lead you to keep using or
Right.
feel bad all the time. You would always have this guilt and shame that your kids don't have a mother present. And as much as
I agree.
we can argue presence, like she's trying her best with the tools that she has to be a present mother, and it might be more than she did previously, but the fact that there's a lack of opportunity is sad.
Sure. And just being there physically and being able to hug your kid or whatever, you miss that physical touch. I don't care who you are.
Exactly. And that ability, I need to call my mom. I can't call my mom when I need her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're 100% right, Right, when you, like, when they're whatever age and they want to talk to her about whatever it might be, has had to miss those things as a mom, and it weighs on both the kids and the mother.
Yeah, I'm 36 years old and I still call my mom for stuff.
Right,
Kids call and ask stuff.
Right.
It never ends. So that's heartbreaking because I can't imagine that level of guilt that you feel.
Yeah.
Does the prison have a lot of visitation options, and do they offer a lot of stuff geared towards kids, like events?
Not at all.
No.
Well, I won't say not at all. I take that back. They have one day, and it's because of one officer, and I honestly could send him a card because he has been awesome with this. He sets up a day every year. It's like a kid's day or a whatever, and it's usually in October, and like they've done pumpkin designing, and they'll spend the whole day with them. They'll get to spend the whole day.
Wow.
And they can come up there, and they get lunch and they get all this other stuff. And I wish they would do something like that once a month or something.
Yeah.
But because of the population of women, even though it's the highest growing population of inmates in the country, it's still much smaller in comparison to men. So like there's 700 inmates at KCIW, but in the state of Kentucky, I believe there's, 13,000 men or something like that.
Yeah.
So you look at the difference between those, and the resources aren't invested as much. So there's not going to be as much staff. And then the staffing issues make a problem for almost everything you're trying to get done there.
From a women's prison perspective, what would be, you think, at the top of the list of what they should be focusing on right now to help improve?
I would try what I would consider trauma-informed care, like mental health stuff. And within that mental health, because like I said, a lot of them are either battered women or sexually abused as an adult or a child. And Tara's been through all of these things. And a lot of them have done or are in addiction. And mental health is huge with all of it. They need to put more mental health with all of it. But especially the women, because of them being the head caregivers most of the time and having those issues. Yeah, that trauma-informed care is, I think, probably the biggest thing. And then just having them be more connected with their kids. Like, instead of one day, try to make more time for their kids to be able to come up there and spend a whole day.
Do stuff, As a man who loves someone who's incarcerated inside, what has been the hardest parts for you? Because you're the first man that I've interviewed who loves a woman who's incarcerated. And I think you're the first person I've interacted with, actually, even. And you're getting warm here. So the support systems for me are very few and far between. Yeah.
I'm obviously listening to more than an inmate's girlfriend, not more than an inmate's boyfriend or more than an inmate's husband.
Yeah.
And that's how everything is, you know what I mean? And so I really have to go to other women most of the time. It would be nice to have more support group type things with men. Yeah. Because I know they're out there. They got to be out there. You just don't see it very often. And so that would be very nice. The other thing, obviously, is as far as helping Tara, and a lot of the other women in there see it, and most of them are very supportive of it. Some of them are envious of it, obviously.
Yeah.
Like Tara made sure from the beginning to tell me, do not, unless I tell you, do not talk to anybody else or do anything for anybody else. She said they will take stuff out of the trash with your information on it.
Wow,
Just,
sneaky.
because women are sneaky.
Yeah, you're right.
And so you have to be really careful about that. And it's different because women are more, I would venture to say, are a little more emotional. So dealing with her emotions and still focusing on my own recovery can sometimes be a challenge.
Yeah, and I was thinking the male role is to protect the woman, like naturally. But
Right, absolutely.
You don't have that ability, really.
No, it's awful because I want to so bad go and just ream these people.
Yeah.
But I can't because it's only going to make things worse.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so it's very hard, even when I'm calling, trying to do these advocacy things and trying to talk to officials that can help her. It's very hard to keep your composure and not just want to really go off on these people.
If you enjoy hearing stories about other people's prison relationships, why not try finding one for yourself? Penpals.buzz lists thousands of male and female prisoners, and you can search by age, type of crime, ethnicity, religion, or practically anything else to find your perfect person behind bars. So take the plunge. Instead of just listening to stories, why not become the story? At penpals.buzz.
What moments keep you grounded and hopeful in your relationship?
Obviously, our conversations are a big part.
Yeah.
But some of the progress we've made in trying to get her out is really nice to keeps us grounded. I put a commutation packet together for her. I do have a paralegal in addition to my other degrees. And we got a letter from the governor, it was a few months back. And the reason that matters is that in Kentucky, I don't know how it is anywhere else, but I know in Kentucky, if they're not going to consider you, that you pretty much just don't find out about it. Yeah. They just throw your stuff out. But I got a letter that said, hey, we're reviewing this, stay tuned. And even though that didn't say much, it did say that they didn't throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
And then even more recently, like a week or two ago, I had somebody from the governor's office email me, and I asked, hey, we have some things to add to it. Can you let me know who I need to send that to? And as long as it's still active. And the person replied, yeah, it's still active, and told me who I could send it to. And obviously saying it's still active after, I think I turned it in 8-9 months ago or something like that, shows that they haven't thrown it away.
Right. Every little bit matters.
It absolutely it does. It keeps hope there.
Exactly.
And that's a big deal. And the other thing with our relationship is that, obviously addiction tears a lot of things down in your life. And physically I have issues, and I had dental issues as well. And she has encouraged me to do things that I had a ton of anxiety about.
Really?
And we'll say sometimes it's encouragement, and sometimes it's like, you're going to do this or I'm going to kick your,
Yeah.
But it definitely keeps us grounded that this is real,
And growing.
And, exactly. 100%.
Because when I think about like myself, and one of the things people I think fail to understand is when all you have is that conversation and talking to each other on the phone and working together in that regard, the growth that I've experienced because Nick has pushed me in so many ways that I didn't want to be pushed. And
Sure.
it's forced
Yeah.
me to grow. And so when you say she's like, I'm going to kick her if you don't get it, if you don't do it, I've had so many instances where Nick's like, you're going to do it. Repeat after me. I will do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to. But it gives you that
Mm-hmm.
courage because you have this person that's fully there supporting you to do something.
Yep.
It's a really cool
Mm-hmm.
part of this relationship, I find.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It 100% is. And one more thing on that, her and I do have in-person visits, and obviously that physical touch,
Sure.
being able to kiss and that kind of thing. It really sucks walking away from her when I'm leaving,
Yeah.
but like getting the memory of what she smells like, what she looks like when you're looking in her eyes,
Yeah.
getting those things, and knowing that at some point, it might even be down the road, but it gives you something to be like, we're going to do this.
Yeah, we got this. And then you just take each other for granted less.
Exactly. 100%.
What are your hopes for her future?
So obviously, I would love for her to get what I would consider her first chance, but like a real second chance, because when I say a first chance, because with her childhood and everything, she never really had a chance.
Yeah.
She was behind the 8 ball from the time she was very young.
Yeah.
And it would be nice for her to get out and have a very meaningful relationship with her children, even though they're adults, and get out and show people that she's more than just that mistake.
I agree. And I feel like being able to interview you and talk to you about her case as someone who loves her, you're able to show us who she really is behind that news article or that sentence. And we don't have to go into detail about what happened, but just even you sharing, like, this was her life growing up. And this is the circumstances that she had to deal with. These were the hands that she was dealt. And now she's grown and she's ready to try again. And she has supports and for the first time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the biggest thing, is she does have a true support system to come out to now.
I'm really hopeful for you guys. If she could speak to us today, what do you think that she would want us to know?
She'd want everyone to understand that she is more than her past and her case and her sentence. And so is everybody else inside. There's always a name behind the number.
Yeah.
They're real people. And a lot of them, especially the women, come from backgrounds that are filled with awful things, trauma, addiction, abuse, everything. And that it doesn't have to define them.
Exactly.
And that they're able to change and grow, and that they're able to live normal lives.
I think it's just so important. We put so much emphasis on men that are incarcerated when these women, so many of them are raising the next generation. And we're already giving all those kids a disadvantage because their mom isn't with them. So I don't know why there isn't more emphasis, and I mean, I do know why, but there needs to be more eyes on women that are incarcerated, especially with how you mentioned that it's the fastest growing prison population in the world.
And that's actually something that I wanted to say, was the tools and support for them because of that is a big deal.
Yeah. And if we don't want the next generation to be following in the same footsteps, we need to be closing the gap between mother and children.
Absolutely.
Not increasing
100%.
it. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you so much for so many reasons, Erik, but most of all for just being able to highlight your story, but also opening our eyes to women incarcerated and your perspective being a loved one outside and what she's experiencing. So I really appreciate your input and your insights, and I've learned a lot.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. And if anybody wants to keep an eye on our story, I put a lot of our stuff on my social medias, like things where we did prison cooking together, where I showed like how they make certain things inside, and I'd be on like a call with her or like visit with her. and I'd record the whole thing and
Yeah.
I'd put it on TikTok.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to check that stuff out, my TikTok is at Hank, Hank, the Hank 493. Hank was one of my dogs. And then anything else like Instagram, Facebook is just my name.
I will put it in the show notes as well. And then also the change.org,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So if people
want to learn more about her case, then I've got updates on there. Those updates really show a lot of cases that are very similar to hers, that the sentences are so much smaller, shorter.
it really shows the discrepancy between her case and the realities in her state.